Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode number 70 of Diehlman at Halftime, the NBA podcast that tops all others. I'm your host, Larry Diehlman. If you're joining us for the first time, welcome aboard, and if you've been a loyal listener, welcome back. We have much to get to today and not a lot of time to do it. We have 4 sections that we'll get into: a general overview of the NBA this week, and our usual highlight, lowlight, and random stat. Let's get to our content for the week. It's not even the off season yet, but we have an early Christmas present, a trade. On Sunday, the Memphis Grizzlies agreed to trade Desmond Bane to the Orlando Magic for Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, Cole Anthony, 4 unprotected first-round picks, and a first-round pick swap. One of those picks the Grizzlies are receiving is the 16th pick in the upcoming draft. Bane spent his first 5 seasons as a pro in Memphis, earning all-rookie second team in 2021. He brings three-point shooting to a team that ranked last in the league in the regular season. Bane, who's averaged around 20 points per game every season except his rookie year, saw career highs in field goal percentage 48.4%, rebounds 6.1 per game, and steals 1.2 per game in 2024-25. Anthony was taken in the same draft as Bane and spent his first 5 years in Orlando. He gets a new start in Memphis since his minutes have been declining for the last 3 seasons. Caldwell-Pope won a title with Denver and the Lakers in the past couple of seasons. While Bane is a good player for this young Orlando team, giving up 4 unprotected firsts is a steep price. But that's the norm today. We'll see if the Magic and Grizzlies make other moves in the coming weeks. The New York Knicks are exploring every possible option for their now vacant head coach spot after Tom Thibodeau's firing. New York's list included Jason Kidd, Ime Udoka, Chris Finch, Quinn Snyder, and Billy Donovan. What's the problem with these men? They're still employed. Respectively, they're the head coaches of the Dallas Mavericks, Houston Rockets, Minnesota Timberwolves, Atlanta Hawks, and Chicago Bulls. All 5 teams denied the Knicks from speaking to their head coaches. I don't think I've ever seen a team go after so many head coaches that haven't been fired yet at once. Whoever ends up taking the Knicks job will have a big task ahead of them. Thibodeau took New York to their first Eastern Conference Finals since 2000. This team has championship aspirations with their stacked lineup. As of Thursday, recently fired head coaches Mike Brown of the Sacramento Kings and Taylor Jenkins of the Memphis Grizzlies are next on the list. Will either one of them be the last man standing? Finally, the Phoenix Suns might be ready to shake up the league this summer. A Kevin Durant trade may be imminent according to NBA sources. The Miami Heat, Houston Rockets, and Minnesota Timberwolves are all vying for the superstar forward services. The San Antonio Spurs and New York Knicks were considered in the running too, but not as heavily as the former 3. Despite Minnesota being a team gaining steam as of the other day, NBA insider Shams Charania said that Durant has no interest in going to Minnesota. Despite Durant's contract being ready to expire after the 2025-26 season, the soon-to-be 37-year-old is eligible for a 2-year extension after a trade. The Suns are trying anything to breathe life into their franchise. Even with their talent, Phoenix has been swept in the first round and missed the playoffs entirely in back-to-back years. If Durant is traded, it'll be the 5th team in his Hall of Fame career after the Oklahoma City Thunder, Golden State Warriors, Brooklyn Nets, and the Suns. This episode is entitled Best of 3. So, who's raising eyebrows at the moment? Let's go to our highlight, the Oklahoma City Thunder. The Oklahoma City Thunder are showing how you get back up when you get knocked down. The Thunder and Indiana Pacers are tied 2-2 in the NBA Finals. The Thunder overcame a 10-point deficit on Friday and were trailing by 7 in the fourth quarter. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander had another masterpiece in Game 4, dropping 35 points, 3 steals, and a block. 15 of those 35 points came in the fourth quarter, and he also hit a big fourth quarter triple in a game where Oklahoma City was 3 of 16 from downtown. Jalen Williams had nearly identical stat lines in games 3 and 4, respectively. 26 points, 6 rebounds, and 3 assists on 9 of 18 shots in 36 minutes, and 27 points, 7 boards, and 3 dimes on 8 of 18 shots in 36 minutes. Consistency at its finest. Head coach Mark Daignault shook up the starting lineup again by putting Isaiah Hartenstein back for Cason Wallace, who took Hartenstein's place in games 1 through 3. Alex Caruso continues to be a machine off the bench as he had 20 points and 5 steals in the Game 4 victory. With the team splitting in both cities, we're going to a minimum of 6 games. It's been the same win pattern so far. Pacers, Thunder, Pacers, Thunder. Now it's a best-of-3 series. Here we go. Game 5 and the potential turning point is tonight, Monday, June 16th at 8:30 p.m. in Oklahoma City. To get more insight into our highlight this week, we have our 20th guest on Diehlman at Halftime Season 2. Let's get into it. So for our 20th guest of Season 2 on the Diehlman at Halftime podcast, we welcome Chris DiPietro. Chris was the reason I got into basketball, mainly because we used to play a good amount of NBA 2K over the years, and he's also my cousin, and he's a repeat guest from earlier this season. Chris is currently an accounting major at Rowan University after spending a year at Rutgers University, New Brunswick. Chris, how are we today?
Brother, how are you?
Not doing too bad right now. It's 2-2 in the finals, so I'm doing pretty well. So, Chris, I wanted to get your thoughts on the Oklahoma City Thunder as the NBA Finals is tied at 2-2. Game 5 is back in Oklahoma City. So my first question for you, the Thunder tied the series on Friday despite the Pacers keeping it close for a while. What did you see from them that you see as momentum or a positive sign going into Game 5?
I saw a absolutely monumental win. I think we saw that the Thunder can win a war of attrition against a Pacers team that plays at warp speed and they have a bottomless gas tank and a bottomless will to win. And I just think it's hard to win that style of game against the Pacers that Game 4 was. They really had their backs against the wall and they were able to get out a win. In Indy, Virgie going down 3-1. They only had 10 assists. They only made 3 threes, but they found a way to maybe not win most of the game, but they won the big moments that decided it. SGA, I think, arguably saved the whole season. Under 3 minutes left, made his first three of the game. I think Caruso had a block, and then it was Shea again on the baseline with a little mid-range jumper to take the lead. Being in that kind of situation, down 4. It's the biggest game of your life. You're the MVP. You're on the road, hitting the 2 biggest shots of your career. It was stunning to watch. It was chilling. It was an amazing moment. I think the Pacers are the last team in basketball you want to be playing with 6 minutes left. And the Thunder, after seemingly gassing out in Game 3, were able to gut out a win in the biggest game of the season for them. It wasn't so much a pretty win, but I think it was a deflating loss for Indy. So the momentum is absolutely riding with Oklahoma City here.
And the interesting thing is that in this series so far, it's been the same pattern. So the Pacers won game 1, then the Thunder, then the Pacers, then the Thunder. So I don't know if it's going to keep going as we look to wrap up this series in the next week, but it's been a consistent pattern. And like you said, it was more so a deflating loss for the Pacers, and the Thunder grinded out a win. And we just said before we hit the record button, maybe Adam Silver calling in the extender, also known as Scott Foster, the ref. For those of you that don't know, Scott Foster, longtime referee, he has the nickname of the extender because of these moments. Oh, the Pacers are up 2-1. Let's make this series go a little bit longer. But I just think overall, the Thunder, they just grinded it out. And when you're the MVP of the league, Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, you score 15 in the fourth quarter. That's an I'm him moment, pretty much.
hmm
So really good job from the Thunder as they shift back to Oklahoma City. So next, Alex Caruso has had two 20-point games off the bench in these finals while having zero in the regular season. What kind of impact has Caruso had all season? And would Oklahoma City be where they are now without Caruso, given their 68-win season and deep playoff run?
I don't think they would be where they are now. I think in last year's loss to Dallas, I left that series thinking that this team needs an Alex Caruso. They need a guy like that to get over the hump. And, he's really been able to smoothen out the rough edges of a young, talented team like OKC. He can hold his own 1 through 5 on defense. I think he's the veteran championship style leader that they needed. And I think his timely offense recently, like you mentioned with the 20-point performances, has kept OKC afloat against a Pacers team that's firing on all cylinders 100% of the time. I think there's been moments where the Thunder have looked a bit flat, a little deflated from dealing with the Pacers' pressure, but Caruso has just been that consistently high energy, competitive monster that raises the floor of the Thunder even in those moments where their backs against the wall, and it's been keeping them in games. I think he's been the third, you could argue the second most important player for the Thunder in this series, and I definitely do not think they'd be sitting tied 2-2 without him.
No, and I think what you said, like being just gas like to the floor every single minute, I guess you could kind of argue that Caruso is Oklahoma City's TJ McConnell, because TJ McConnell for the
Mhm.
Pacers, it's always just go, go, go. He doesn't stop. He always has a chip on his shoulder. And Caruso just comes off the bench. He'll be in for like 10 minutes or something. He'll have 5 steals. It's
Mhm.
amazing what he can do in such a short amount of time. And like you said, guarding 1 to 5, he was clamping up Jokic earlier in this postseason, and it just shocks you like how somebody Caruso's height. Now, granted, he's taller than both of us, obviously, but just going against a guy like Nikola Jokic, and he's just clamping him, even though he's a great offensive player. And you're like, wow. So Alex Caruso has had such a great impact. And you look at the trade, they shipped off Josh Giddey to the Bulls for Caruso straight up. No picks, no cash, no nothing. And it's looking like more of a, I'd say it was a fair trade because Giddey can be a good player for the Bulls. But in terms of championship caliber, and if the Thunder win the finals, this is looking more like a robbery every day. The fact that they couldn't get any picks or other players, like they just like, here you go. So
Mhm.
it's just, he's showing up in these finals more so than in the regular season, and it is definitely having a good impact on Oklahoma City's deep playoff run. There are plenty of casual fans that don't like this matchup because LeBron's not playing or the Celtics bowed out early or whatever. Is a small market finals beneficial for the league? I mean, one of these teams will win their first finals ever, or in the Thunder's case, at least in their new city. Because obviously, fans, we all make jokes like, oh, ESPN, they'll talk about this for 3 minutes and then talk about LeBron or, the
Mhm.
Warriors or oh, how's Luca doing on the Lakers? And man, he's fat or something. So, how is this beneficial for the league? I think they've been playing some pretty good ball, and I mean, we're going to 6, so
Yeah, I think it's really important that we've gotten such a good series out of these two teams specifically. When you have two smaller market teams without a draw like LeBron or Steph Curry, the teams playing kind of have to earn their respect to the casual viewer. And I think they've done that and more. These games have been awesome. The energy from the arena in both Oklahoma City and Indy has been incredible. And watching from home, you kind of feel like you're there. You feel invested. You feel the weight of the moment. And a lot of playoff series, even series that feature a big draw like LeBron or Curry, they don't have that sort of atmosphere surrounding them. So yeah, I think this series has been amazing for the fan, and I think it's been amazing for the league. When there's no global all-time superstar playing right now, but series like this are the reason that those kind of stars exist. These series produce those levels of stars. So I love seeing these two small market teams, these two young teams. I love them putting on a show. And, like I said, series like these, every game's close. You feel the weight of the moment. Every little sequence feels important. These are the styles of series that make those superstars. So it's been awesome seeing such a good series between these two teams.
Yeah, this series really has been good, and it really started in game one. And I know that's an obvious statement. Well, Larry, of course, game one was the start of the series, but I'm saying it started in game one when the Pacers made another comeback and Tyrese Halliburton had to pull up with zero point 0.3 seconds left, and you just knew, oh, this is going to be one of those series. And like the old saying goes of it never starts until the road team wins. But this series has been good overall, and like you said, I think it has to earn the respect of the fans, and I think through 4 games, even though we're not done yet, that it has earned their respect.
Hmm.
And I know plenty of people on social media last night were clowning Stephen A. Smith for playing solitaire during the middle of the game, and
What a bad look.
he claimed it was during a timeout, and yet the video was during a fast break. So maybe we have some casuals on TV as well, but
Hmm.
I think it's just been a really good series, and especially that these are small market teams. If these are small market teams and the Thunder blew the wheels off the Pacers in 4 games, it was a 30-point blowout, we'd be saying, you see, this is why nobody likes these matchups. But the fact this is a close game, I think more people are tuning in, and it'll get more exciting as we get to the resolution of this series. So finally, is it reasonable to say that the winner of Game 5 will win the series on Thursday in Indiana, and that's Game 6? Will the winner of Game 5 maybe win the entire series, and if not, explain?
I'm going to go ahead and put this out there. Betting against the last team that you can bet against, it feels like. I think if OKC wins game five, I think the series is over. I have virtually no doubt that they'd be able to close out the series given they win on Monday night. I think the Pacers, they're on a historical run right now. I think they're built to keep teams on their toes, but the Thunder are the best team in basketball. They're one of the best single season teams we've ever seen. They're built to match the speed, to match the pressure, to match the moment that Indy forces on them. And I think game four specifically really showed that. I think game four entirely changed the complexity of the series. I think it reminded the Pacers that the Thunder are the best team in basketball. I think they were doing a really good job, like I said, keeping the Thunder on their toes and maybe even instilling a little bit of fear in the Thunder and forcing those moments where the Thunder are down a couple points and they look flat on offense and Indy's rolling and Obi Toppin's hitting threes and TJ McConnell is stealing the ball off inbounds. The Pacers have forced those moments on the Thunder so far, but game four was just an absolute gutsy win from the Thunder. And I really think it was telling about how the rest of the series is going to play out. I think if the Pacers win game five, I think it's still anybody's series. But if OKC wins on Monday night, I think they would bury Indy after I already think they put a foot in the grave game four with that style of win that they got, that deflating win. I think Indy is teetering a bit after something like that. And I think if OKC, one of the greatest teams we've ever seen, is able to win game five, I think it's over. But I can't wait to see it play out. And, you can never truly count out this magical Pacers team. So, I might be standing corrected, but we'll see. It's going to be exciting. Can't wait.
Game 5 really is going to be the turning point in this series. And like you said, if the Thunder win on Monday, I think that Game 6 will be the finale in Indiana on Thursday. But if the Pacers win, I don't know. That's the thing. I think the Pacers, they could win on Monday. Here's the thing, though. If this series goes to 7, I think Oklahoma City, it's going to be a blowout because home teams in Game 7, they're just heavily favored. The stats back it up like, oh, they've won this out of this many times ever. It's just always been heavily favored for the home team. So the fact that the Pacers potentially might have to win 2 of 3 on the road, that's tough. It really is. So I think the Thunder, if they win game 5, it's over. If the Pacers win, we'll see. But then again, going back to Indy, that could be something. It'll definitely be interesting. And I think the Thunder will take game 5 as this series is coming to an end. So, Chris, thank you so much for popping back on Diehlman at halftime, and we hope to
Of
get you back
course.
on in the future.
Love being on. Blessed to be here. Had a ton of fun talking some hoops with you, Larry. And yeah, can't wait to be back on.
Let's go to our low light, the Indiana Pacers. No matter the circumstances, you can't squander opportunities that are there for the taking. The Indiana Pacers at home for games 3 and 4 and with a double-digit lead in game 4 had a chance to go up 3-1 over the Thunder, but it was not to be. I said last week that Tyrese Haliburton needed to bring more aggressiveness in his scoring, and he has shown signs of that. He was 1 rebound shy of a 22-point triple-double in Game 3 and 4 of 8 from three-point range. Indiana's Game 3 highlights were mostly from the bench. TJ McConnell had 10 points, 5 assists, and 5 steals in 15 minutes. Benedict Mathurin was a firecracker with 27 points in 22 minutes. However, Game 4 was different. Pascal Siakam had 1 field goal attempt in the fourth quarter, which he missed. As someone who was recently named Eastern Conference Finals MVP, 1 field goal isn't going to get the job done. Although 4 of his 5 steals came in just the first quarter. Obi Toppin was cooking. Mathurin, though, had a particularly bad final minute of play. Mathurin came into the game after Aaron Nesmith fouled out. He proceeded to pick up 2 dumb fouls, and he went 1 of 4 from the foul line. Oh boy. Regardless of who wins tonight, Game 6 is back in Indiana on Thursday at 8:30 p.m. However, if the Pacers lose Game 5, it'll be an uphill climb as the series reaches its finale. Finally, let's go to our random stat. Even though you could have the best team ever assembled, it doesn't mean squat if you don't have a glue guy. Alex Caruso is that guy. In Game 4, the Oklahoma City Thunder guard put up 20 points on 7 of 9 shooting and 5 steals off the bench. He's only the second player in NBA history with at least 20 points, 5 steals, and 75% shooting in a finals game, and the first bench player in finals history to have at least 20 points and 5 steals in a game. But wait, there's more. Caruso is also the first player in NBA history to have 2 20-point games in the finals after having none in the regular season. In short, he's got that dog in him. The Thunder acquired Caruso from Chicago last offseason for Josh Giddey. While Giddey looks like he's on the verge of becoming a star, this Caruso deal is looking better and better every day for Oklahoma City. Caruso won a title with the Lakers the same year as Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, like we mentioned earlier, and he was a former all-defensive first and second team selection. Although his stats don't wow you, his hustle and determination do. I better not turn my back because Caruso might steal my thunder. Well, that's all the time we have for today. If you haven't already, make sure to follow me on social media. I have 2 X or Twitter accounts and 2 Instagram accounts. The podcast accounts are under @Diehlman_NBA for both X and Instagram. My personal X account is @LarryDiehlman18, and my personal Instagram is @Mr_Sports18. They're also in the description on Buzzsprout, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. And thank you to Chris DiPietro for being our guest this week on the podcast. Remember, you can follow him on Instagram @ChrisDippy. That is @ChrisDippy. Now that we know the NBA Finals is going past 5 games, it's now confirmed that there will be one more episode for Diehlman at Halftime Season 2. There was a chance today would have been the last one, but not anymore. With next week being episode number 36 of the season, this is now the longest season of Diehlman at Halftime, and that includes the podcast and the column I used to write for Rowan University. You don't want to miss next week's season finale. We'll crown a champion and wrap everything up before we go on hiatus until October. And don't forget to spread the word about Diehlman at Halftime. See you next time, fellow Hoops fans.